Hey, content creators, welcome to today's video. If you're just starting your Spectra One and self hosting journey, well, buckle up because I've got a video tutorial for you today. When most people think of self hosting, they think of WordPress. Duh. And they also think of something that is difficult to build and even harder to maintain. However, after this video, I want you to think of WordPress self hosting as fiddly, but not hard. I got the term fiddly from my wife, who's a knitter, and she uses it to describe something that requires or involves intricate moves or small patterns. It's challenging, but it's not hard. It's challenging because you have to concentrate. You can't be distracted, but it's not hard. Setting up a WordPress website and self-hosting it is a lot like something you do so that you can get onto the good stuff, like content creation or world domination. With that said, let's get on to the WordPress dashboard. So here we are on the WordPress dashboard. This is what you see once you sign up for a self-hosting account on one of the website hosting companies. This is where it's going to drop you in. Once you've done all their configuration, and it's all different, but it's all the same. So there's no real value in me going over how to set it up on, InMotion hosting versus HostGator. I mean, there's no value there. But once you get it set up, then you're going to end up with something like this. And basically, what we want to do at this point is we want to talk about what's already been done. Basically what I've done is I've added some actual post. So the post with actual it's got a featured image, it's got a header, and it's got some content. That's kind of the basics of what we want to have. That's what we want in a WordPress installation. We want that so that we know that what it's going to look like as we design it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to go and we want to add a theme. We want to add the Spectra One theme. So Spectra One is a block theme, so it's in a different section than your classic themes. So we go over to the block theme section here. We call it up and then we install it. And we activate it. Now at this point, it's going to ask you if we want to add the site builder, Spectra, or the page builder, the Spectra builder. And we'll do that. That's going to give us something a little more than what you would get out of your generic WordPress installation. From there, we're going to go to the editor portion. So this is where all the magic happens. This is the new site editing experience. So there are 5 sections. We've got navigation, we've got styles, and we have the pages. So starting from the top, we have navigation, nothing there. But that's basically this portion up here. That's what we're going to build when we build the navigation. Styles, these are the site styles. So what you can do is you can click around and you can change the way that the website looks just by clicking on one of these guys. Go back to the default. Pages, these are the pages that come built in. So these are the pages which show up here. So these are the pages. Templates. Templates are they organize your actual content. So your content is organized using the templates. So you would put in uh, text and images, and then the template allows you. The template would allow you to basically organize that content so that it has a very distinct look and feel. So from here we have patterns. And the patterns are all the pages that come with Spectra One and WordPress. We have two distinct patterns. One is the header and the other is the footer. Now for right now, we're not gonna dive too deep into the design aspects. What we're trying to do is just get this site up and going so that we can we're going to do this so that we can get the site up and going so that we can then go back in. So this will be like our minimal installation. So we can go back in at some point and add more detail. Once you've got your minimum installation, then there's value created. Now you can add additional value, but at least you're up and running. So from there, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is we want to start with our pages. And what we can do is we can add pages, and we want to add the pages that are listed in the header block. So we want to add a home page. With that, it wants us to basically to design it, but we're not going to do that here. All we're going to do is add them. And the reason for that is that the pages actually exist outside of the template. And right now, we have not added any posts or page content for the pages to actually pick up. So we've got a home page. Now we're going to add an about page. Once again, it gives us the page template, but there's no content inside that template. The next thing we want to do is we want to add the blog page. Now, the blog page is a very specific page, and we'll show you in just a minute why it's different than the other pages. And finally, we add a contact page. So those are all the pages that are required for the header. The next thing we want to do is we want to modify our template. So we're going to start with the blog home template. And one of the things up top here, you have the list view. These are the lists. This is the list of all of the blocks or groups of content. I guess we're now calling them patterns. But these are all the patterns that are in Word that are used on this page. So if we were to go to the launch, we would see that this group has a title, a paragraph, a button, 2 buttons actually, and an image. But we don't want this in here. We want to basically get rid of all of this so that we can create a blog homepage which is more consistent with what's needed for a blog. So what we do is we hit the plus button, which gives us our patterns. We want to do our post patterns. And we're going to take the latest posts and we're going to go back to this list view and we're going to move it up so that it sits between the header and the footer. And that's all one pattern. And we save it. And that part's done. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to add another template. We want to add the front page template. Now, we choose a pattern because that keeps us from having to add a um, a header. So because we've added this pattern here, we don't have to add the header. We don't have to play games with that. We have a header and we have a footer. And you can see that once again here in the menu. Once again, because we're dealing with the front page, as you see here, we want to get rid of that because this is not the front. That's not the blog page, the blog homepage. That is the front page of your website. This is what happens when you go to the naked URL. So if you were going to go to spectrodemo.local/, this is the page you would get, and that's not what you want. So you delete that pattern. Now, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to actually build a hero section. And we're going to actually build a website. We're going to build a homepage. Won't take long, but it give you a feel for what it's like to actually create your own. One of the benefits of using Spectra One is that you get access to Flexbox containers. And Flexbox containers will give you some additional functionality that a group container doesn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to we want a Flexbox container with 2 internal Flexbox containers. Now, once again, we have to move it up because it's going to create it at the bottom of the list. We move it up, we move it back into place. At this point, what we want to do is we want to come down here to the container and we want to change the minimum height of the box. Well, actually, before we do that, let's change the style so we'll have something to look at. What we're going to do is we're going to add our background image to the container. And now we're going to change the view height. I kind of like 70. It's up to you. You got your choice. At this point now, what we have is something that looks a lot like the hero images you're used to. So it goes from end to end, takes up the full size of the website from end to end. And then what we want to do is we want to add some content to it. Well, what we want to do is we want to add a title block, actually. I want to add a header block. I'm going to add a header. And the heading we want to add create sustainable success. So from that point, now what we want to do is we want to add a paragraph. Say work with the number one E-L agency. Now that's kind of difficult to read. So we're going to go back in and style it a little bit. Going to add some white text, and we'll save it at that point. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm going to get some images so that we can create another section which will give us an opportunity to create another section on top of this homepage. It's just to give us some variety. So at this point, what we want to do, we're good to go for our hero section. Now what we want to do is we want to add an additional section. So we want to go here. We'll make sure everything's closed. And we'll add another flex box. So this sometimes happens. Put it in the wrong place. So now we're back. We're in the right place. We close up this flex box and we add a second box. And what this does is it basically creates another section that we can add content to. We'll add a second container. This gives us two containers just like before. Get rid of that container. Don't like it much. Okay, now what we have is we have two boxes. And in the first box, what we want to do is we want to add, we're going to add a paragraph. And all we want to do is add some text, not a heading, but just some text. We're going to say, are you struggling? Then we're going to add an image to the second box. This time we're going to add one more container. And we're going to put the image first this time. And with the second one, we're going to put a so at this point, what we have is we have a home page. We have a home page and we have a blog page, but we're still missing the about page and the contact page. So what I'm going to do is kind of try to save us some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create the contact page. When we go to the pages section here, we see that they're all set to draft. But we do see that there is a contact page. And when we go to the contact page, there's nothing here. So what we want to do is we want to add another pattern. And luckily, there's a contact pattern. And we can add it here and publish it. But once we publish that one, then we have to publish the others. Now from here, what we want to do is we want to set up our static pages so that we can see the home page and we can see the blog page. Now, when I said there was something different about the other pages, this is what I meant. There's nothing on the home page. Yet, if I go and I visit the site, it's there. When I go to the blog page, it doesn't do anything. I'll show you why in just a minute. So right now what we have is we have everything working except for the navigation, which is, we'll go fix that now. We go to patterns. We go to header. And what we want to do is we want to edit the header. And notice how it switches from the left side to the right side. But once again, we start with our group. And we want to drill all the way down into the navigation. And we want to get rid of all these guys. And when we go back up, we can add a page list. Now, this page list shows all of the pages that are on the website, but they may not be in the right order. So, what we can do is edit this. That puts everybody in the right order. And we can go out to the site and we can see that everybody's there. And we can see everybody's here. And now when we go to the About page, it'll actually click. And we go to the blog page, it'll show us. But it's not showing us the header. It just shows us get started. And the reason for that is because there is a separation between the two templates. And while we changed it for the front page template, we didn't change the transparent um, we didn't change the transparent heading for the blog home template. Now what's cool is that because they're separated like that, what we can now do is we can enable the transparent template and now it's only on the front page. Okay, with that said, you now have a working, if you were to follow along with this, you would have a working WordPress website. Actually, what we want to do is we want to fix the the blog home. I'm going to go to templates. We're going to go to blog home. We want to style. And that's all she wrote.